Hi, I'm Siddharth Vij, co-founder of Bijnis.
This episode of the Founder Thesis podcast is a masterclass on how Dhanda happens and how to build your company with a focus on what really matters. Siddharth Vij started Bijnis straight out of college with a simple idea of helping manufacturers get more efficiency in how they sell their products to retailers. In this candid conversation with Akshay Dutt, Siddharth shares his roller coaster journey of building a business as a leading B2B e-commerce platform. Siddharth shares his journey of finding product market fit, raising funds despite not having an IIT or IIM pedigree, and improving margins despite facing well-funded competitors. Stay tuned and subscribe to the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming app to learn about building e-commerce businesses.
So I think I still remember I discussed this idea with Chaitanya in a train coming from Delhi I was coming back to Agra and he was coming back to Gwalior. So I discussed this idea with Chaitanya in a train, and I think he got so curious about it that the next day he didn't even stay at his family place for a day. Next day he came into Agra and said that, okay, let's start. So that was it.
So what was that idea which got Chaitanya so excited?
I just told him that, okay, my father is a footwear manufacturer and B2C is booming, because I think in 2014 when we were graduating, B2C companies were in consumer internet, and internet was doing a lot of justice to good consumer side solutions like Zomato's of the world, Paytm of the world, and all those companies, but Flipkarts of the world were coming in. B2B had just seen two companies since many years, and they were IndiaMart and Trade India. B2B was, when we started B2B, there was no B2B, right? Like, all the big B2B giants came later, like Hoonil. But I think then I told Chaitanya, boss, the entire supply chain behind the consumer is massively unorganized, and my father is a footwear manufacturer and he faces these kind of problems as a factory owner. So he's like, okay. He's like,
your father was supplying, or he was
he was making. No.
Okay.
He was a domestic manufacturer. He was dependent upon domestic middlemen to take his goods further and expand to India. So I told him
unbranded footwear, basically.
Yeah, there's almost unbranded footwear and everything. And he could produce for a few brands as well as a contractual manufacturer, but it was a mix of both, right? And they had problems of payments, they had problems of trust, they had problems of connections. And the two sites which I named, the large B2B companies who were running since 1990s, they were more reliant on connection-based problem. They're like, yeah, you
they
pay
were like
us
classifieds.
You pay us and we will give you 5 numbers. Now, if they convert or not, we don't give a damn. So, and I saw that only 1% of the entire industry is using that solution, because no one wants to pay for the solution, because the problem was not connection back then. The problem was trust of payments, trust that who is coming in between. And that's where we thought that I told Chaitanya, there is a case to create a great platform. Can you just come and I can make you roam the footwear mandi in Agra? And he's like, tomorrow I can come. So he came tomorrow, and that's it.
Okay. So then what?
So I think, of course, then Chaitanya came, and then Siddharth also was. Chaitanya spent almost 3-4 days in Agra with me. He lived with my family there at my home, and both of us discussed that idea with my father. And he was, of course, quite interested and excited about it. He's like, I will handle the family. You just don't care. You guys just move forward. If you don't want to do a job. Chaitanya, although took a placement, he actually got a job, and he said, but we started this in last semester. Like, even last semester exams were not happened, so we started this in last semester, and Chaitanya was like, okay, let's start it. So we started building wireframes, pilots, and everything. And I and Chaitanya were
you were planning like a e-commerce for businesses, like that was the plan. Like,
not e-commerce, we were not planning transactions. We thought first we'll build a sort of you can see a Facebook for footwear factories. You can see that, okay, a platform for footwear factories to register their factories, their infra, and we will give you leads without charging anything. So why we should give the leads? First, we'll get retailers on the platform as well. Let them connect to you directly. First, understand what is the problem, because we didn't know the problem really. We just thought that there is a communication and transparency issue. First, launch the platform to understand what are the connection problems standing, right? So it was no transaction. We were not building any e-commerce solution. The idea was to get footwear factories on the platform, and the idea was to get buyers on the platform so that they can connect directly without having the middleman attention required. That was the idea, right? And 4-5 days we verified it, and he was also very, very much excited. He was like, I am also coming from this kind of business. So, and I and Chaitanya vibe together a lot. So I thought that, okay, this is the game. But one thing we realized that we both are not techy. And the solution we're trying to build is very technical in nature. And otherwise, तो अब engineer कहाँ से ढूंढे और CTO कहाँ से ढूंढे, तो then we went back to Delhi, and the only guy among Amit sir batch, हर वो बोलते हैं ना कि होता है कि in every non-technical kind of backgrounds, there are few people who are damn crazy for technology.
Yeah.
Like they do something or the other. So Siddharth was that one guy who I've always seen on a laptop over the last 3 years. So he was like, although he was an economics student, but he was very much interested in, he was very much curious to know about technologies and so on and so forth. So he's like, boss, this is I and Chaitanya are trying to plan. So he's like, yeah, मुझे तो MBA करना है. And I've promised my family, that I will do a CAT. And unfortunately, he also got a good percentile in CAT. So I said that doesn't matter. You see the solution, and I will talk to your family, and we will make that trust with them. So because if you will not come, then I and Chaitanya, of course, will not be able to build tech. So at least please come. Because with you might not be able to code, but at least with you, I have the comfort to talk to an engineer that engineer is not fooling me. Right. So he got interested, and I think we spent 2 days together, and then I, Chaitanya, and Siddharth, we said that okay, we'll go ahead, and that's about it. So the entire last semester we spent in wireframe creations, thinking what we need to build. Just after exams, how we will launch. However, Siddharth and Chaitanya both took the jobs. I didn't take the jobs, but Siddharth and Chaitanya both take the jobs. But they were like, कि जैसे ही launch होता है, we will leave it and come. So don't worry about that. And I go, all fine, okay. So I'm trusting on you guys. Let's start it. So that's how it all started. I think that's what happened. Just after launch, just after exams, I came back to Agra, and after 3 months, Chaitanya saw me struggling in Agra alone. He informed his HR that I have some family issue and I cannot name the company because I know that. So he just informed the HR that there is a family issue and I need to go. And the human resource manager told him that he will be blacklisted and all that. So he said that, okay, take this laptop, blacklist me, I'm going. The day he saw me struggling, on the night he came back to Agra and submitted his laptop. And I think 3 months later, Siddharth almost did the same, and he left the job and he came to Agra. So for the first 6 months, we operated in Agra before shifting to Delhi to create the company.
So you launched immediately after graduating, right? So what did you launch? Was it like an India Mart kind of a thing where businesses are listed?
So I'll tell you what was that. It was not an India Mart. It was like that. We were so it was a connection platform. We got footwear manufacturers registered, footwear factory. It was Shoe Connect, and the idea of Shoe Connect was that first we launched on web, but web didn't work. Then we launched mobile, and mobile worked very, very brilliantly. So what happened was in August 2014 we launched it. In Agra, I had some contacts of almost 100 to 150 footwear factories. But there was one platform, like my school helped me get the stage, and we got on the stage and we said that, okay, we have launched something 10x better than India Mart, and India Mart will give you filtered leads and everything, but we have built a connection platform where your factories can come, the raw material suppliers can come, the retailers can come, and you all can have interaction, and they can connect you for business directly rather than paying for it. And we'll be the nodal agency for payment transfers. That was something that we were trying to build. That payments and solutions ka trust hum dekh lenge, but at least come on the platform and register your factories or your shops or your businesses and so on and so forth. But the web, as we launched the website on 2014 on August, I think in the next 3 months, we got understanding that website is not working. So we failed badly there. And I think I remember in Jan 2015 in Bangalore, I and Chaitanya were there, and Siddharth was also there. We spoke to some guy, some person from the investor world, and he recommended us, guys, why you're trying to do well, you should go to mobile. I don't think. And then also we realized that my father have never used web. I think that time internet was coming along. Geo and 4G was not that penetrated. But I remember that my father and other businesses are more comfortable using mobile. So we thought, okay, I think we've launched the right solution, but I really think that the medium is not right. So we should just change from web to complete mobile. So we actually launched a mobile app within next 3 months of realization. But on 24th May 2015, the mobile app of Shoe Connect launched. So that is we mark that as a launch and founding day of business, because that's where the company got incorporated and so on and so forth. Because as the mobile app launched, I think in the next 4 to 5 months, so Chaitanya handled the growth and the marketing part, and Siddharth handled the product development and technology part. And I think as the mobile app launched, it shooted. Like, we had so many retailers, we had so many factories registering, because people were more comfortable using mobile. So the accessibility increased, and the network effects kicked in. And factories, manufacturers, middlemen also, wholesalers also, they also started coming on the platform. So the entire value chain, the idea was to get them on the platform first and see what they do to actually understand the problem. So then the mobile app scaled, and I think post that all the things happened.
What did you see them doing? Like, initially, I'm sure you would not have had payment gateways and all of those, right? So initially, you
absolutely
just enabling
absolutely
people to chat with each other.
Absolutely. So the idea was, of course, for the first 3 to 4 months, we realized that the daily active users are shooting up. People are coming, people are registering, people are talking, because we were able to look at chats, what they are interacting and how they are interacting. Of course, there was a clear problem, but I think we realized that because factories were also there, the back end of factories were also there on the platform, middlemen were also there, and the end retailer, which is consumer minus one, was also there, right? So that supply chain was there, and people were interacting amidst other. And after 4 to 5 months of, I think we had almost 3,000, 4,000 daily usage, which is almost a good usage when it comes to B2B transaction perspective.
Yeah.
And we understood that when we interviewed some wholesalers, some middlemen, so middleman is creating value since hundreds of years. We thought, boss, ऐसे तो नहीं चलने वाला, because monetization नहीं हो पाएगा ऐसे, because problem solving नहीं हो रहा है. So platform interact तो करवा रहा है, but again, lead conversion is not happening. So we are facing the same problem as IndiaMart is facing. However, we changed the way how it operates, but or Trade India will operate, because people are not actually relying on leads. That's the idea. And when we ask them, is like कि सर पेमेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कौन लेगा? आपको पता है कि मार्केट में अगर मेरे को कोई भी अप्रोच करता है या कोई भी होलसेल अप्रोच करता है, तो 3 महीने में पेमेंट 20%, 15% तो बैड डेट्स हो जाता है. So we understood, okay, what is happening. And then we intended to become the middleman. Like after that 3-4 months, thought that एक काम करते हैं, middleman बन के देखते हैं कि what middleman is actually doing, which is creating value, but also creating inefficiencies. So we observe after 2-3, like within by early 2016, we understood that we did 3 to 4 transactions on our basis. So like we went into an wholesaler shoe. We will become the wholesaler, and let us become the wholesaler. No problem. We will see that how retailers interact with us, how we interact with factories, and what is the exact problem statement that these guys are facing. And what wholesaler, because wholesalers and middlemen are staying since last 100 of years. You can't, by just launching a small technology platform, you just can't devalue their thing. यार ये तो eliminate कर देगा उनको. ऐसा नहीं होता. We realized that later, but we understood that यार elimination is not possible. Value creation बहुत है उनके angle से. But but at the same time, we didn't focus. We of course focus on the value creation that they created, which was obvious to an extent. But we really focused on the inefficiencies that they created. The inefficiencies were 2-3 bigger inefficiencies. For factories, it was like 2-3 bigger inefficiencies, right? For retailer, it was a minor inefficiency. For factories, they were massive. They were bigger inefficiency. So we said, okay, we understood this. Let's try to launch and become an alternative middleman, which will not work like middleman, which will work like a tech platform, but it will create value in terms of all the things that middleman is already doing. But we will capitalize on 10 or 20 inefficiencies, which will make the futuristic solution 10x better than the existing solution, right? So that's where we understood that there are three problems which middleman is creating. First, capital flow inefficiency. For example, that if a factory is giving 3 months of, factory is being given 3 months of credit inside the middleman chain. So middleman factory को 3 महीने का credit दे रहा है कि भाई 3 महीने बाद मैं तेरे को पैसे दूंगा, but retailers को 3 महीने का credit नहीं मिल रहा. That means somewhere in the middle chain, the monies get consumed. So the middleman is trying to play on the money which factory can be built upon. Right. So middleman is not investing in his own money at all. He's trying to minimize the invested capital, and he's trying that care मैं factories पे पूरा का पूरा load डाल दूं, and I will earn out of that, because factories are burdened with the problem of capacity not being utilized. He's like, yeah, at least utilize my capacity, take away my profits, take away my payment cycle, but at least utilize my capacity. That's the point, right? Under that garb of capacity utilization, middleman is trying to create inefficiency for the factory. And I think that is big. That is big, because if that credit flow is going till end retailer, we could have understood that the problem is actually at the end retailer. End retailer bolta hai, sir, I don't want to use credit for every of my transaction. His business is 50% cash and 50% credit. So why this entire payments are getting used in between? So we understood, okay, this is the inefficiency, and this is an unnecessary part, which is not required. First. Second, by launching an app, we could solve a massive discovery problem in the fashion lifestyle categories, because it's not like pyaz or any commoditized product.
Right? It's not standardized.
It's not standardized. There are billions of design. Every day, there's so many designs which are getting uploaded in footwear and lots of other categories. So retailers we didn't, actually, it was surprising to us. We didn't face a problem of tech adoption on both the ends. Neither the factories nor the retailers. Retailers were using it like massively because they wanted to search designs, because retailers were limited to the designs that the local trader was offering, right? So we understood that, okay, discovery problem, and by coming in between, we can solve the cash flow problem of factories and profitability part by 5 to 6%, because there are 2-3 middlemen in the between. So we thought we can be one. So we'll increase profits, we'll solve the discovery problem, and we'll solve the cash flow problem. All the three intrinsic parts of business, and we'll solve it for both the parties. And that's why we thought, okay, let's launch the transaction module of ShoeConnect. And back then it was called ShoeConnect, now it's called Business. But that's where we understood the clear problem statement, and we understood why factory first approach. So everyone asks us, then what is a factory first approach? Because we have been always advocates of that. There's so many companies after that who came B2B. They're like, we only won it with the perspective that we understood in the first 2 years of our journey, that if you create factories, value creation at the factory's end, only then you will be able to create a pull amongst the other stakeholders in the value chain. Because retailers will only go for price, quality, lead time, right? If wherever they find it better, they will go there, right? So from that perspective, we know that, okay, he's loyal to that. Retailer is loyal to this. Doesn't matter anything. You solve the discovery problem, you solve the price, quality, lead time problem for him, and he's there. He's not loyal to you, he's loyal to the price incentive. He's a business. He has to make two ka 4, so he has to have the price incentive. But create deepening problem solution approach for factories, create a great solution for factories. They will love you. A great B2B product can be created. So we understood that early in our execution, and that's where the ShoeConnect transaction module launched in early 2016, and that's where we scaled the transaction business.
So e-commerce means catalog, right? I mean, the basic thing is you need to have a catalog of products that people can search with price and all
Bilkul.
of that. So how
Bilkul.
did you build a catalog?
So we launched the marketplace. We turned our we turned our platform to a marketplace. Back then, I think then factories बहुत resistively आती थी platform पे. Factories नहीं आती थी. हम जाते थे factories के बाद, but it was very difficult to convert them because factories were too much reliant on wholesalers. And they were like, we won't come because if they want to also come, they won't, because if wholesaler will see us, then the existing business gets crashed, and then so on and so forth.
One question here. Factories do a made to like a, मतलब does the wholesaler tell them कि मुझे ये designs के इतने चाहिए और फिर वो produce होता है, या factories produce करके रखती है and wholesale comes and sees क्या माल है and then he picks up? Like, how does it happen?
80% latter, 20% for more. So basically 80% is what factory invents more and more, and 20% is like coming from 20-30% is coming from the demand side, that okay, you can make this, you can make that, you can make this.
Okay. So वो factory owner was mostly taking a decision कि मैं क्या produce करूँ based on his understanding of trends and all that.
Yeah, because every factory does sampling. Small, big or large, every factory does sampling, right? So the factory owner has two core jobs while running the factory. One, invent and sampling, and second, like reinvent and sampling more and more. And second is running the factory, which is like managing cash flows, procuring material, managing production. That's what. All the other part, which is selling, managing payments, communicating to retailers, he left it on wholesalers. So he's like, I don't go there. I don't want to go there. I will just focus on two things: core sampling and managing my factory.
And sampling means that they'll produce a small lot and they will give it to the wholesaler. Wholesaler will further give it to retailer, and then the feedback will come back to them.
Yeah.
ये अच्छा लगा.
And I think back then थोड़ा internet penetration तो हो ही चुका था WhatsApp पे, right? So they were exchanging
so send photos and
हाँ, फोटोज पे बहुत बेचते थे, and then Pinterest यूज करते थे बहुत सारे फैक्ट्री ओनर्स वाले, Pinterest पे बहुत सारी
copy
images
designs
use
from
करते थे,
Pinterest.
copy design from Pinterest and doing. So उसमें कुछ थोड़ा सा इन्वेंट कर दिया, reinvent कर दिया. 80% market runs on unbranded market, right? So they can design innovation is unlimited for them. They can do anything.
Yeah. Okay, got it. ठीक है. So then your job was to convince them to upload their catalog. Like you
our job was to Exactly. Immediately यहाँ पर डालो और हम कोशिश करेंगे कि उनको रिटेलर्स तक डायरेक्टली लेके जाएंगे और रिटेलर्स का ट्रस्ट बनाएंगे, बिकॉज जितना आप लोग अपलोड करोगे रिटेलर उतना टाइम स्पेंड करेगा टू सिलेक्ट. रिटेलर का सिलेक्शन बढ़ना चाहिए फर्स्ट. हाउएवर वी अंडरस्टूड दैट लेटर कि रेलेवेंट सिलेक्शन बढ़ना चाहिए, बट फर्स्ट वी फोकस्ड कि पहले सिलेक्शन बढ़वाते हैं एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स इनएफिशिएंसी पे फोकस करेंगे, एंड दैट वाज इट. आई थिंक इन द मिड जर्नी व्हेन वी अंडरस्टूड दैट फैक्ट्रीज को कन्वर्ट करना बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है. So because it was a chicken egg problem you're facing. Factories were like, sir, आपके पास demand तो है नहीं इतनी. If I can come, sir, I know your solution is better. I know you are better for me in 2 or 3 points. I know that you will give me better cash flows. I know you will give me better profits. I know I have an incentive. But the problem is that you don't have enough demand. And if you don't have enough demand, my factory can't run on small demand and erratic demand. So and if I join the platform, if I register on the platform, the wholesaler will also not trust me again. So I will lose both the ends, right? So at least first try to create a solution in a way that I can come and run, right? So we also and then we face the chicken egg problem, and what we used in that way that we started onboarding the next guy immediately after the factory on the platform, which is the wholesaler, a bigger wholesaler, stockist. Which is counterintuitive to what we're trying to build, but I think it could be a temporary strategy which would help create catalog to a large extent, because you multiply, because wholesalers have large catalogs, and I know that and
they work with multiple factories. So to convince one stockist, then it's as good as convincing 10 factories.
100%. But it was counterintuitive to our vision. We know that this is not a problem statement we're trying to solve. We're trying to solve the factory's problem. But I think for next 6 months or almost for an year, rather, we got onboarded like X number of wholesalers and stockists. But we were adhered to this fact that we have to be selective in our approach, because this is not our long-term strategy. This is our short-term strategy. At the end of the day, we have to go back to factories. That was a very clear idea. So we always put a filter of who we are onboarding. we were not running behind. So we were almost like a bootstrap company that back then some angels invested, and that we were not having a pressure of क्या इतना GMV बनाना है and so on and so forth. हम लोग उस angle से और उस fundamental से कभी चले ही नहीं. So we were like, yeah,
As in you went and pitched to people, or this was like friends and family?
No, not friends and families. Friends and only few family members trusted us. There were no one who was trusting us. So of course, there could no chance of friends and family investing in us. 2 years after, I met a person from Indian Angel Network who is Sahil Kejriwal, and I think we invest. So that is another story, because I think that's after 2.5 years of doing all this, scaling the transaction module, we understood that we want to have some investment, but of course no one was actually trusting us. So one guy called Sahil Kejriwal, he messaged me on LinkedIn that, boss, something that you're trying to build is interesting in footwear sector. I'm in Bombay, and you could come to meet me. And I think that is also a very interesting story, because I and Chaitanya were had lost hopes that we could get an investment. So we यार तो खुद ही से scale करना है इसको, investment छोड़ते हैं because मिलने का है नहीं investment. So we went to,
but you had tried, like you had heard no's before that, like after pitch किया था क्या? Okay.
अभी मतलब first 2 years में नहीं, 2 साल बाद. So I think after while we are trying to get wholesalers and scaling the module, we understood that okay, ऐसा product market fit बनेगा. इतना customer का value creation है, इतना हमारा value creation. A guy, and Sahil Kejriwal, he was coming from Carnegie, and then he joined his father's factory in Bombay. So he was kind of familiar with technology solutions, and he came to Bombay and he joined his father's exports footwear factory. So he somewhere saw us and he just LinkedIn messages. मैंने कहा, I don't know यार, this random guy messaging us. But we were actually, but Chaitanya and I were going to Bombay for an event. So we were like, yeah, let's go to Bombay. Let's not have any expectation from this guy, but let's go to Bombay and see that if we can have something. This was a last try on something. We went to Bombay, and we went to Bombay, and we were like, and it's very interesting story, because first one day then he didn't call me back. I called him back, but he didn't pick up, and then he didn't call me back, and I thought that okay, it's a lost store, doesn't matter, right? So, and I think we had a train back to Delhi next day, almost at 8 p.m. in the night, right? We were, I and Chaitanya were sitting at traveling in a local, and I told, and then he called me at 3 p.m. in the noon, and then I could not pick up the call for some reason, and I called him back again, but his phone was switched off. I was like, क्या पता नहीं क्या problem है, and we were not interested to meet him. क्या पता नहीं क्यों फालतू में बात कर रहा है, and doesn't matter यार, छोड़ते हैं. So and then we were sitting at शाम को 6 बजे, we were sitting at a Marine Drive having vada paws. It's like कि अभी ट्रेन है 2 घंटे, अभी ट्रेन है 2 घंटे 3 घंटे में. तो उसका एकदम से कॉल आया कि guys, I am in a park near Marine Drive, and I'm having my evening routine of exercising. Can you just meet me at a cafe nearby? Like कि चलते हैं. So हम लोगों को बोल दे कि हमारी ट्रेन है 2-3 घंटे में बॉस, so आप देख लो. So we just then taxi ली, and we went to that cafe, which was not very far. And I think within 30 minutes of sitting with him, we had a 1 crore kind of a term कि यार 1 crore का पैसा मिल सकता है. And he will connect us to 15-20 more angels in the Indian. He was an investor at Indian Angel Network, which is a community of a lot of angels, and they could invest. So he will lead the round in Indian Angel Network, and he will all the investment efforts, and he will help us raise 1 crore from various other angels. Like, cool, perfect. So we still have that tissue paper on which the pen and
literal like napkin commitment.
Yeah,
amazing.
Napkin commitment, and then we took a train and came back to Delhi, and we told our team that guys, 1 crore आने वाला है कुछ time में.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. Okay. So, so this is like 2016 when this happened.
Yeah, 2016 almost, and then parallelly we were trying to solve the
stock
problem.
Through you were doing the catalog building.
Yeah,
and were you also seeing transactions happen then?
Yeah, 100%. So we were clocking almost 30 to 35 lakhs monthly.
And
just immediately.
How was this happening? Like a retailer would see something, the stockist would set the price, and the retailer would see, then he would
typical marketplace. We had the payment gateway and everything. The tech was built, and So I think from that perspective, we were clocking almost 30-35%, and we were making good revenues, so that at
And
least we could
retail
sustain.
not get any credit here. He had to pay.
No, no,
for
no,
it.
no, 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 no. So we understood that credit is something that is not a retailer's problem right now, and credit अभी solve नहीं करेंगे. एक तो पैसा नहीं था करने के लिए credit को, right? So we thought यार, तो I think वो होता है ना कि if you don't have money, you throw brain on the problem, and actually we actually understood that okay, what is not to do, and credit we also understood that if we do credit is a false way of proving TMF in the market. You should
Yeah,
not.
right. Yeah.
So I think we
So retailer would pay up.
pick up that.
The stockist would get the order, and he would take care of logistics.
Yeah. So we had the logistic contracts. So we had the seller panel for the stockist, and he would catalog product. He would initiate a pickup. The logistic man would come to that place, pick the consignment, packed consignment up, deliver it to retailer, and we'll get the payment, and we will cut our service fee, and we will give back the payment to the supplier.
So that logistics setup was there at that time, like that kind of infra where you don't have to build yourself. You can just plug in with a third party.
Yeah. We had that setup, and we were using 2 rooms in Agra, right? To do all this, and so I think we shifted to So I think we were in Agra by early 2016, and then early 2017 we shifted to.
Once you got the money, that 1 crore.
No. We got the money a bit later. So although the first tranche I think came, right. So the first tranche came, and then we shifted to we shifted to Delhi, and I think that's it. So basically, we understood that okay, how this has to scale, and uske baad we were also transitioning to factory. We started transitioning to factory somehow
Because now you
understood
had
कि
demand because वो 35 lakhs monthly transact GMV है. So
हो रहा था. Correct. So we had some good loyal retailers, because retailers के लिए एक problem solve हो रही थी, which is discovery. They were using the app, and they were transacting on daily basis, and we understood ki what value we have to create for the retailer, and what is like how tech adoption is happening amongst them. Are they using the product? So the product engagement metrics were exciting enough for us to motivate कि यार invest करते हैं और, because दुकानदार तो loyal हो रहा है. The only challenge was to now get to our ultimate thing, how to get these factories on the platform direct. So that was the idea, because I think the real value creation was lying there.
what stopped a regular person like you or me to also buy shoes from there? Like, was there some sort of KYC that you are a retailer, or was it minimum order quantity? Or
Minimum order quantities.
okay. Like they have to order at least 10 pairs or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, ठीक है, got it. Okay, ठीक है. So then what? Like,
So then almost I think by early 2017 we shifted to Delhi and everything. We also started thinking about changing our name from Shoe Connect, and we thought क्या करना है, because I think समझ सकते हैं थोड़ा सा category, but we didn't want to expand categories immediately. I think तब demonetization आ गया था 2016, and demonetization came, and तब तो मतलब बहुत पंगा हो गया था, and उसके बाद I think थोड़ा digitization और adopt हुआ था, right? So for the first 2-3 months,
you
but I
must
think
have seen transactions go up after demart, because people would not want to do so much cash dealing.
You are right. So basically that happens with there were 2 events, 2016 and demonetization, and mid 2017 GST, which blundered in our short term, because short term में धंधा सब कुछ रुक जाता है, because everyone start trying to adjust to newer circumstances and newer scenarios. हमको पता है कि हमारी लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए बहुत अच्छा है, बट शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए अच्छा नहीं है.
35 lakh GMV में you had enough margin left over to pay salaries, like pre-funding?
Yeah, pre-funding में it was there, but after funding,
Okay.
like after we got this angel investment, we increased a bit of our expenses in terms of getting good people and investing in engineers, right? They took most of our money, and I think from that perspective, I think तब थोड़ा losses में जाने लग गए थे, but we understood that there is no problem, because I think that's where the issues also came, right? By the end of late 2017, because I think mid 2000 we all shifted to Delhi. So Delhi में Madangiri में it was our first office. In Delhi we all shifted to like Siddharth. Then it was very difficult in early 2017 to actually have managing half team in Agra, half team in Delhi, and now we wanted to scale. We wanted to scale to factories in Delhi, like sellers in Delhi, sellers in other markets. We want to get this platform like यार अब थोड़ा सा scale करना है. How to do that? So we all shifted to Delhi at one place because Siddharth and Chaitanya दोनों अलग अलग teams manage कर रहे थे और थोड़ा difficult हो रहा था to manage it, right? So I think back then we were also trying to form the team. There's one guy, we took early team was very raw. Like early team अगर आप देखोगे तो it was like we took college graduates as an early team, but people who know the sector. That's what we did. So we were not paying anything. We were not paying anything to them. We had commitments. They had ticket थोड़ा share ले लेना, but at least start building with us, and they had nothing to lose. So frankly, with people had nothing to lose, right? Then they were already still living in a small city in a small area, and then हमको वैसे भी एक जूते की फैक्ट्री में जाकर 15 से 20,000 की नौकरी करनी है, तो why not experiment this, and if we can make our lives in a better way, right? So we got because Agra is a hub of footwear manufacturers, so जितने भी students होते थे generally footwear factories में employ होते थे, right? तो हमने कुछ 2-3 बंदे ले लिए और उनके साथ एक टीम बनाई.
People you hired for like onboarding,
marketing, correct, marketing operations के लिए. And then Siddharth was working with few of the engineers in Delhi, and I think it was Chaitanya's friend called Shubham, who is not the co-founder now. He was in Indian Institute of Management doing his MBA, and Chaitanya said कि यार ये मेरा दोस्त है ग्वालियर का, ये इंटर्नशिप करना चाहता है. मैंने कहा यार इसको इंटर्नशिप क्यों करनी है हमारे साथ, मतलब इसको हम भी लोग मिले आगरा में आकर इंटर्नशिप मिलने के लिए. then I called him, I spoke to him. He's like यार मुझे बड़ी FMCG कंपनी में इंटर्नशिप क्यों नहीं जाना, मुझे लगता है कि तुम लोग कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग कर रहे हो और मैं आगरा आ जाऊंगा. मैंने कहा देख ले बॉस, कार्टन पैक करने पड़ेंगे अगर तो समझ, राइट? क्योंकि हमारा तो कोई वजूद भी नहीं अभी, हम तो एक छोटे से काम कर रहे हैं. इफ यू वांट टू से, ही इज लाइक नो प्रॉब्लम, आई विल कम. मैंने कहा ठीक है बॉस, यू कम. And then 2 months with him, I understood that he's pretty excited seeing the landscape and seeing यार कितना कुछ बन सकता है यहाँ पर. मैंने उसको बोला कि यार तू एक काम कर, जॉब मत लियो तो टीम में आ जाओ. मैं उतना तो पे नहीं कर पाऊंगा जितना तेरे को मे बी आफ्टर आए हैं एक प्लेसमेंट कंपनी मिलेगा. तो यार ठीक है, मैं सोचूंगा. But after 7 to 8 months, I kept on approaching him, I kept on hindering him, and after as I think in early 2018 when he completed his MBA, I took him. I started calling on regular basis. Company तो नहीं ले रही. So of course he started getting good offers, but then he convinced his father, and he's like, don't worry, मैं किसी कंपनी जाने रहा हूँ, मैं तुम्हारे पास ही आ रहा हूँ. Then and of course he came back. Of course we paid peanuts. We didn't even pay 5% of what he was not. In fact, not even 5%, less than that 5%, right? So he's like मैं आ रहा हूँ, बस मुझे बस अपनी डैड से कुछ नहीं लेना, तो मेरा खाना पीना हो जाए, and that's what I'm coming for. क्योंकि मैं ऑलरेडी MBA लोन में लगा चुका हूँ और फादर से और पैसा लिया, तो फादर बोलेंगे भाई MBA करा क्यों था जब ये सब भी करना था तू. तो then he came and joined, and Shubham Agarwal, who became our who formed a great foundation for the founding team.
Okay. So by end of 2017, what was your GMV? Like how much were you doing?
By the end of
both these events, like GST and demonetization, just stable ho gaya.
By December, we were almost at 50 to 60 lakhs monthly.
Okay.
And we had lesser money. Now we understood that in the next 4 to 5 months, ये पैसा खत्म हो जाएगा.
Okay.
तो ये पैसा खत्म हो जाएगा.
Doesn't go too far.
वो पैसा खत्म हुआ. 1 crore भी नहीं था, और 85, 90 lakhs के आसपास कुछ आया था, राइट? तो वो सब कुछ खत्म हो जाएगा, और अब क्या करना है देखना पड़ेगा. एंड तो 2 ऑप्शन थे, या फिर तो प्रॉफिटेबल कर देते हैं इसको, कर सकते थे हम प्रॉफिटेबल एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. एंड तब ना आई थिंक फ्यू कंपनीज केम, लाइक B2B में काफी थोड़ा सा नेकी पीकी होने वाला हो गया था in terms of Udaan started hopping in, Moglix and all those B2B companies have, like the B2B world started talking about B2B. Like 2016-17 में तो जब हम इन्वेस्टर से बात भी करते थे, वो कहते थे आप B2C क्यों नहीं कर रहे हो, मतलब B2B पे क्या रखा है. If you have to scale this, then you have to find good investors and all that. So I think I remember in early 2018, I think we were doing almost 50 to 60 lakhs, like I think 60 to 65 lakhs in monthly GMV. And they were good sellers on the platform, good retailers on the platform, trying to maintain a good net market fit. Told them, we were able to articulate what we are trying to do in terms of clarity. बहुत आ गई थी in terms of factory पे क्यों जाना है, right? तो और execution clarity आ गई थी. Of course, it evolves, but I think one of our angel called Vikas Kutyala, he actually, kind of, he was on one investor call, and just after the investor call, he called me up. He said, "यार Sid, मुझे लग रहा है कि यार कोई बहुत ही कम लोग हेल्प कर पाएंगे, सो एक काम करता हूँ." बिकॉज मैं काफी इन्वेस्टर्स से मिल लिया था, राइट, एंड मुझे पता था कि यार बिकॉज एक तो वी वर नॉट कमिंग फ्रॉम पेडिग्री. आई थिंक इन्वेस्टर्स बैक देन वर मोर. Now, of course, now in the ecosystem, VCs and all the investors are more mature enough to find good fundamentalists rather than pedigrees. But back then, pedigrees were expected to be higher than anyone else, and we were like, okay, it's fine. But I think he's told like, I think you should meet Sanjeev, the founder of Naukri.com. He would support you 100%. एक बार आपको मिलना चाहिए. We almost took some some help from our parents as well, because तब हम दिल्ली में आ चुके थे. दिल्ली में मैं पूरी आगरा की अपनी टीम को दिल्ली में ले आया था. तो उन सब इमेजिन 10-15 पीपल को, उन सबकी फैमिली से बात करके लेकर आया था कि यार तुम दिल्ली में, मैं इनको रखूंगा और टेंशन नहीं होगी, इन सबको कुछ भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी. और दिल्ली के छोटे से मदनगिरी गांव में हमारा ऑफिस था वहां पर. तो हम 15 से 20 लोग वहां पर काम कर रहे थे. एंड आई वाज लाइक यार हाउ टू जस्ट डू इट, बट ऑफ कोर्स क्लियर दैट कि वी विल बी एबल टू डू इट एंड कुछ ना कुछ कर लेंगे वहां पर. देन ही मेड अस इंट्रोड्यूस टू संजीव InfoEdge. So I and Chaitanya went into this office, and it was a big corporate in Noida, and it was the first visit to any such corporate like that. Tab we didn't know about Naukri, Sanjeev. Of course, we heard about him a lot because of Zomato and Policy Bazaar in terms of investment that these guys have done. But we and I think Vikas knew Sanjeev somehow. So he made us introduce them. I think we had a good conversation for the first 2-3 hours. We explained. It was a big boardroom. I went in my chappals. So I still I and Chaitanya were like very raw, and like यार ये कर रहे हैं. Then like वो भी सोच रहे होंगे कि यार क्यों इन्वेस्ट करें, मतलब what is the reason for us to invest in that? No background, nothing. And I think they were, what the good part about them was they were not looking at us from those judgmental eyes. I could feel that at least. They were looking at from actually these basics कि यार इनको business बनाना आता है कि नहीं आता. And I think उसका बहुत बड़ा reason है
difference now between a pure investor and a founder investor. Like such a founder investor. So he understands the fundamentals of business.
I think his team was also very much aligned with that approach of looking at businesses from that perspective. What I've said from them, right? So after 2 hours of conversation, I think they of course didn't form the conviction, but they were there कि यार यहाँ पर कुछ तो है. These guys are doing something. And of course, we were also surviving a kind of a bootstrap venture since last 3 years now, right? 2015, 2018. So they're like, यार, there's something there. These guys are on it. So कुछ ना कुछ देखना चाहिए. So they asked like Sanjeev and Kitty and Rishabh, the 3 people largely who we met. So, they asked Rishabh to be in connect with me, and I took the card and I came back. And like, yeah, this is a normal meeting where he said that कि ठीक है card वार्ड रख लो और तो अब of course then Vikas said keep on talking, and I think after 9 months from that day, they gave us the term sheet. So it was a 9-month journey all in all. So we kept meeting them. I was talking about them, the progress, उनको progress बताता रहता था and everything. I think I and Rishabh got in good touch. So I think of course they trusted with their execution. So I always say कि हम लोगों ने कभी जिंदगी में आज तक स्टोरी नहीं बेची. हम लोगों ने हमेशा अपना execution बेचा है, क्योंकि हमारे हिसाब से हमको कभी स्टोरी पे जज करा ही नहीं है. हमको हमेशा हमारे एग्जीक्यूशन पे जज करा गया है, and that is the story even now, right? So from that perspective, I think that's maybe that's where we have faced expensive dilutions in the early phases because of this, but we're fine with it because we know that we're not a big game and it's fine. Let's go with it. So, but I think that was something a pivotal point in our journey. Late 2018, almost early 2019, we signed the term sheet for 3 crores with InfoEdge, and they will write a check of 3 crores and come in the company. And I think that was more of a credible situation for us first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and most respected investor in India.
Yeah, and I think मुझे लगता है कि जिस DNA से हम लोग आ रहे थे ना, जो DNA of building long-term sustainable businesses, right? और एक बड़ा बिजनेस बनाने का जो एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू था सबका, course our early teams, I, Chaitanya, Sid and Shubham and all the people who were building with us, they were good early teams also who is जो आगरा से बनी थी, वो भी काफी अलाइन थी इस बात पे कि यार एक बहुत ही सस्टेनेबल बिजनेस बनाना है. एंड आई थिंक इन्फो एज के आने से वो अप्रोच इनहैंस ही हुई. एक होता है ना कि यार sometimes naturally you touch upon a person who could help and who could not change your originality, who would just enhance the originality. I think because they were also very first principle guys. They were also they also didn't want to. Sanjeev also didn't want to, or the team's DNA was not to like कि यार बनाना है, वैल्यूएशन करना है, दूसरा फंडिंग उठाना है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. They like it, be on it, find a great PMF who could find a great customer value and then scale it to leaps and bounds. Then, right? So they were patient with us. And I didn't remember still. It's been 5 years with InfoEdge, believe me. I don't remember ki, I think if they have called a meeting. Only I have called a meeting because it's not, they've always helped us in many ways, but what I'm trying to say is ki, they're like,
You're not micromanaged.
I'm trusting you guys. You have a vision. And if any help, we would love to help you. That's what their philosophy was, right? From that perspective. And I think which entrepreneurs who love executing and are building from those basic first principles would like that. Because it's always difficult to convince an investor because investor always know very 5,000 feet of things, right? So it's, it's rather better to execution with the mark laga lo rather than telling people, yeah, tum kya kar rahe ho, kaise kar rahe ho, and so on and so forth.
Right. How much did you dilute for 3 crores? At that time, it must have been different valuation metrics. Now, the aaj ke metrics are like very different from that time.
Yeah, we diluted 15%.
Okay. Okay, not bad. Okay, so then what?
So then after that, I think uske baad, I think we didn't look back yet. That was the thing that we were looking at. Ki someone could, because already 3 साल का execution basics बहुत clear था. It was not like कि a conventional journey जहाँ पर एक idea आया और मेरे को पैसा मिल गया 6 महीने में. ऐसा नहीं था. 3.5 साल से we were trying to do something and really executing hard on ground, right? So we had a basics very clear. So we were not very afraid about. उसके 6 महीने बाद ही I think Udaan got a lot of investments, $1 billion of funding, $1 billion funding. Of course, InfoEdge existing investors were like, यार अब कैसे करना है, क्या करना है. But we were like, यार, calm down. I think we never lose our calm with competition because we know that what is our game. We know, we were very clear that we were not running behind those piece of valuations. It was because we had never been polluted with that mindset. We were coming with a very fresh approach. यार ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. Everyone has his own game. And मुझे पता था, and we were very clear about that perspective that if they will come, they will maybe disturb the market for a short term, but they are also coming from their burdens of running a Flipkart, running a B2C company, right? So their mindset
is a customer like demand acquisition.
बस बिल्कुल right.
And your mindset is supply, like you want
supply,
to focus on
correct.
Building supply.
Correct. They wanted to build a demand first B2B and we wanted to build a very, very extremely supply first B2B. And we think that the B2B company could only be created if you are supply first. Otherwise B2B companies can't be created, right? But at least the real, because I think in that back then, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, जितने भी हम इन्वेस्टर से मिलते थे वो बोलते थे यार तुम क्रेडिट के बिना कैसे काम करोगे यार, क्रेडिट नहीं करोगे तो कैसे काम करोगे. हर कोई, Udaan was spending so much money on credit. Ajio also came in. Reliance also started coming in B2B. तो सब लोग बहुत एंशियस होने लगे कि यार ये क्या हो रहा है, इतनी बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज आ रही हैं, $1 billion फंडिंग, सब ये छोटे छोटे लोग क्या करेंगे. लाइक ठीक है कोई प्रॉब्लम, उनके पास पैसा है, हमारे पास फंडामेंटल्स है, डजंट मैटर, राइट. तो वी अंडरस्टूड दैट कि यार नो प्रॉब्लम, पैसा फेंकने दो. एंड हम इन्वेस्टर से बात करते हैं, वो कहते थे यार तुम क्रेडिट के बिना कैसे करोगे. एंड बिलीव मी, जब हम 50 लाख 60 लाख करते थे तब भी हम क्रेडिट नहीं करते थे. आज हम I think we're doing almost 100x 1000x more than that, right? And we are still not a single % of transaction on credit.
Oh, amazing.
So we still don't use credit. So the point is that कि first fundamental कहीं नहीं जाते, basic कहीं नहीं जाते, वो वहीं के वहीं रहते हैं. We really thought, and I think companies who came in and acquired by credit, they also learned the hard way कि करोड़ों बर्न करके क्रेडिट पे कुछ हुआ नहीं है. except non-performing assets being created to a large extent, right? So the point is कि credit is a false way of giving in B2B and PMF. अगर आप execute करोगे बिना like just coming with a baggage of accumulating demand, I don't think so it will work. So, and I think we understood our good fundamental कि अब B2B बना कैसे, हमको पता लग गया, समझ में आ गया क्या करना है, कैसे करना है. अब हमको नाम चेंज करना था, अलग अलग कैटेगरीज का हमको कपड़ा लॉन्च करना था. वी वर वेरी क्लियर कि यार अब हम फुटवेयर की सागर में समझ चुके हैं कि यार B2B बनेगा कैसे. तो नाउ एक्सपैंड आवर नीड्स एंड अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं कि हाउ इट शुड बी स्किल्ड, राइट. सो वी अंडरस्टूड कि यार मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फर्स्ट अप्रोच और फैक्ट्री फर्स्ट अप्रोच कैसे प्ले आउट होगा इन द नेक्स्ट 2-3 years. ऑफ कोर्स वी हैड ब्लीक क्लैरिटी बट वी अंडरस्टूड कि यार एग्जीक्यूट करके समझ जाएंगे. एंड we started eliminating the middlemen that we onboarded because of solving the chicken egg problem. And then we started going to factories after demonetization, after GST started loving us in a way कि यार अब हम तुमको adopt कर सकते, like तुमको parallelly चला सकते हैं, साथ में आ जाओ, like we will register on a platform and everything. And we started getting welcomed from them, which was our ultimate thing. We wanted to do that. And then we take factory.
What makes a lot of sense because there is no credit that they are giving. They get paid instantly.
They get, I mean, I'll tell you, from almost 90 days of working capital cycle, they come back to almost 15 to 20 days, which is incredible in terms of efficiency, right? So plus 5 to 6% additional profits. So there's no harm. And then they get complete view of demand side. So middlemen created opaqueness in front of them. We gave them data that they could use to increase their efficiency, so on and so forth.
What kind of data? Like how many people are viewing a product or what? Like?
Demand analytics, the entire demand analytics, you know, कि कौन से retailer आ रहे हैं, कहाँ से आ रहे हैं, कैसे आ रहे हैं, किस तरीके से आ रहे हैं, कौन खरीदता है, कैसे खरीदता है. And from that perspective, so product usage on both the ends was significant. That was giving us confidence. एंड जब भी हम फैक्ट्रीज पे जाते थे ना यार, मतलब आई कांट टेल यू अक्षय, द एंटायर टीम, हम लोग ऑलमोस्ट सब ग्राउंड पे रहते थे. हम लोग टीम भी वैसे चुनते थे कि यार हम पहले बोलते थे सबको कि देखो भाई ये एसी में तो बैठ के काम होगा नहीं यहाँ पर, तो भले ऑफिस है हमारा बढ़िया, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बट दिल्ली, आगरा की और जयपुर की गलियों में जाना पड़ेगा. तो अगर आना है तो आ जाओ. तो फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव वी अंडरस्टूड दैट कि हमको टीम कैसे बनानी है. वी वर एवरेज एज वाज वेरी यंग. We were operating. I think we all didn't have. We three didn't have that corporate experience. तो वो एक तो उसका एक नेगेटिव भी था, बट पॉजिटिव भी था. पॉजिटिव ये था कि हमको पता ही नहीं था कि यार पॉलिसीज और रूल्स होते क्या है. तो we could come in with fresh, right? So I think that way we ran, and I think from that perspective, it went on from that journey. उसके बाद I think we changed our name. बहुत नाम सोचे, बट सब लोगों ने ये बोला कि यार शुभम कॉइन्ड दिस नेम कॉल्ड बिजनेस. हम सब यूजर से बात करते थे, अगेन सब सेम नाम रखने भी हमने सेम फिलॉसफी यूज करी, कस्टमर फर्स्ट, गो बैक टू बेसिक्स, राइट. लोग कस्टमर से पूछते हैं, बाकी लोगों से क्या ही पूछेंगे. 10-25 कस्टमर से बात करी, एक चीज रियलाइज हुई कि ये बोलते भी बिजनेस ही है, BIGNIS, यू नो, बिजनेस, यू नो. सो बिजनेस बोलते हैं नॉर्थ इंडिया. हाँ, नॉर्थ इंडिया में बिजनेस बोलते हैं. और मतलब बिजनेस इज मतलब हमने एक दो अपने इन्वेस्टर्स को बताया ना कि ये क्या नाम है, क्या है यार,
देसी नाम,
बिल्कुल देसी नाम है ये, तो यार क्या है, डजंट मैटर, राइट. हमने कहा कि हमारे ग्राहक को अच्छा लग रहा है तो हम तो रख रहे हैं. वी डोंट, सो दैट्स व्हाट आवर आइडिया वाज. एंड हम सबको समझ में आया, ऑल्दो इट वाज अ ट्रिकी नेम टू पुल ऑफ. हमको लग रहा था कि यार if we are able to create a great product, then this name might be might be a great recall value in future. So I think we were able to recognize the brand value, creating uniqueness with this name. So we went ahead with this name and we launched. We got from Shupnik to business, BIGNIS, and that's where we launched our understanding how to. We've framed our vision into one line, which is taking factories to the world. And why focused on factories and not focusing on retailers? It's not like the vision doesn't focus on retailers. The vision focus on factories because retailers should also create benefit. So the idea was, अगर factories का value creation नहीं हुआ तो retailers का कभी नहीं हो पाएगा. So first create value for factories and then create value for other people. That was the idea, and that's what our factory first approach came in. And I think that's how things started to come along well.
How did COVID impact you? What was your GMV by the time, like say by 2020 beginning, like Jan Feb में कितना GMV होता?
So I think 2 years after InfoEdge, possibly I think uske baad I think one more round happened. So InfoEdge kept supporting us, right? Kept investing, and I think one more investor came in the company called Waterbridge, like 7 months, 10 to 11 months before COVID. And, of course, we had the existing InfoEdge is like that. We want, of course, existing investor was someone who could think that now अब हम तो ट्रस्ट कर ही जा रहे हैं और भी लोगों को ट्रस्ट करना चाहिए, but we were of course not getting much attraction then also as well. So but I spoke to this person called Siddharth Vij Bijnis. He's right now CEO of Policy Bazaar, and he was then the partner at Waterbridge Ventures. So I spoke, and within 3 days of talking, we had the conviction and they had the conviction of coming in, right? So we also raised $1 million almost around with Waterbridge and InfoEdge both, and I think 7 to 8 months down the line, which you spoke about early 2020, our GMVs our gross merchandising value was around 10 to 12 to 15 odd crores, 15 crores के आसपास per month, right?
Okay.
And so
categories were only shoes, yeah, like only footwear, yeah, you had other categories also.
Back then only footwear, right?
Okay.
So 10 to
and
I think
geographically,
delivery
like
so retailers
pan-India?
were spread it pan India almost. They were from all the corners of India, and supply clusters were like Agra, Delhi, Jaipur. All these 3 clusters were footwear factories / middlemen, some like lesser but strategic, and mostly footwear factories were there on the platform. And I think COVID came when we were in talks with, and I think early 2020 we also signed a term sheet with Matrix and Sequoia, both. So I think
and
that
the
was
money had come in by the time COVID hit.
नहीं
अच्छा,
तो
okay.
कोविड तब हिट नहीं हुआ था, तब पता भी नहीं लगा था लोगों को कोविड हो गया, टर्म शीट आ गया था. तो आपको तो आई थिंक आई आस्क्ड देम कि भाई मतलब बता दो कि तुम लोग डालोगे भी डालोगे पैसा, because so but I think both were generous investors in terms of giving a long term shot rather than very short, right? So I spoke to I think Matrix and Sequoia both were also. I was talking to these guys here since 2016-17. They know that, Siddharth is doing something on this and कुछ ना कुछ कर रहा है. I think Matrix, of course, these guys in trust बनाने में सबको time लगता है. As I said, हमने हमेशा अपना execution बेचा है, अपनी story कभी नहीं बेची. तो I think they also trust
You
us.
like keep sending them like monthly numbers, like ये GMV था या ये growth हुआ and stuff like that.
Not
Quarterly,
monthly, मतलब not
once in a
monthly,
year or
but
something.
एग्जैक्टली आफ्टर 2-3 years पे मैंने अप्रोच करना ही छोड़ दिया था. मैंने कहा कि यार मैं एक चीज समझ गया था कि यार इन्वेस्टर्स खुद आने चाहिए थोड़ा सा, मतलब आई थिंक एग्जीक्यूशन पे फोकस ज्यादा करते हैं rather than meeting them much and much. So my focus was to create a very differentiated product value creation, and I think InfoEdge was also supporting that forefront कि यार customer value creation first and anything, right? उसके बाद I think we created a good distinctive understanding in B2B कि यार भी बनेगा कैसे, because Udaan also after. And they were companies, Udaan and Ajio, all those companies came, they spent so many dollars. Whenever competition came, I increased my margin to 2x. Right. So I think in the last 2-3 years, whenever competition came, we have increased our margin, which is counterintuitive to many things.
Why did you do that? And it sounds risky.
It doesn't, because we understood that what is our supply first philosophy is saying. No matter what they are coming in, but we are getting deepening into our supply. After every 6 months, after every 1 year, we were deepening into our supply, right? We were like pushing our games. Care up factories trust करने लग गई हैं business पे. That's now we wanted to get to that clear customer love. Like customer is the factory, and that love, if that love is there, then margin चाहे जितना बढ़ा लो, margin बढ़ाते ही है, क्योंकि we understood very clearly. हम कहते हैं ना कि if you don't price your product well, you will not achieve PMS ever, right? So I think pricing that product well was helping us creating a decent organic skin in the game from both the parties, not just retailer, but factory as well. So, of course, it was difficult, but it was not just helping us increase our margins, it was also helping us creating value creation. Ki factory is like, whoever is coming, it is serious. It is not like your cataloging ka game hai, GMB ka game hai, badhate raho. It's not like that.
And I'm guessing margin increase factory could have passed on to the retailer by increasing the price now. They would not necessarily need to absorb it.
Yeah, of course. So every time they don't, but we understand that we are talking to a factory, boss, why are you earning so much? So first getting them to offline benchmarks. See, we always said internally our team, कि यार हमारे competition ये new gen B2B companies नहीं है. किसी अब यार वो भी नए हैं, हम भी नए हैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल किसी के अकाउंट में अगर 400 मिलियन है या 4 मिलियन है, वो वक्त की सिचुएशन तो चेंज नहीं कर सकता ना, टाइम की सिचुएशन चेंज नहीं कर सकता. वो पैसा सब कुछ खरीद सकता है, बट कस्टमर का प्यार नहीं खरीद सकता. कस्टमर का प्यार सिर्फ एक ही चीज खरीद सकती है, विच इज वैल्यू क्रिएशन, राइट. तो वी अंडरस्टूड दैट कि यार भले ही पैसा सबके पास हो, डजंट मैटर, राइट. तो हमारा कंपटीशन ऑफलाइन है, वो ऑफलाइन मिडलमैन जो कि सालों से वैल्यू क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. अगर हम उनसे 10x बेटर एफिशिएंसी पे काम नहीं कर पाए, इफ वी आर नॉट एबल टू क्रिएट अ 10x बेटर प्रोडक्ट than those guys, we will not be able to sustain, no matter what. So I think that perspective helped us getting pricing neutrals in the market. So we used to tell a factory, if you are earning X in offline, earn X plus 5% in online. Don't earn X plus 50% because it won't make your situation advantageous, neither is ours. Right. So necessarily the price was not going to retailers. It was actually being absorbed, but they were understanding why this price needs to be reduced. Right. So factory owner, if he's earning 50% gross margin, he's not serious on a platform, basically. He just want to try. He doesn't want to.
वो list करने के खातिर, मतलब it's just for the sake of listing that he's listed with some sort of unreasonable pricing which will never sell.
Exactly. So I think from that perspective we were clear, and that's how we were able to utilize pricing while increasing our margins, and we were able to create a product which is better than the existing middlemen, right, for both the parties, factories and retailers.
Okay. And so when COVID hit, what happened?
COVID hit,
like GMV go down. Like what happened?
Of course. So GMV was badly hit. Our money was still not in the bank. 3 months we were like first wave. Everyone was inside houses, and we were actually trying to raise the round. And I think, but of course the investors who were coming in, they trusted us with execution, and they knew our story of last 4 years and 5 years, and they understood that okay, how these guys are executing. And I don't think that वहाँ पर कुछ hindrance था. I think by the time first wave ended, we had the money in the bank. So बिल्कुल right time पे we got the money, because then we had the time to actually push up and recover to our previous COVID levels. Now, of course, post-COVID levels were very exciting because adoption increased. Offline market took time to recover. We recovered faster, and we were able to, I think in that time frame between first wave and second wave, we were able to onboard factories 10x better than before, right? In terms of the time to onboard and the number of factories that could hear us that okay, how to use business. Now, even because the customer was almost 40-45 years in age, and now I think people from our age also were entering the businesses, so it was becoming easier for us. And but I think they started asking. They started coming on video calls, started asking how to use it, कैसे चलेगा, क्या होगा, बताओ, हम भी use करते हैं, हम सीख लेंगे. I think that was very encouraging.
And I think for a factory owner, they would have also seen their sales get a hit because retail stores banned the way, so they would have ways to offload inventory. So for them, then it made sense to experiment, try online platforms.
Absolutely. एक तो retail stores बंद हो गए, and उसके बाद भी जब retail stores खुल गए थे after that wave, they were like that. Offline would take time to come up, and retailers have started going online. So let's not
right. Yeah. बिल्कुल. more sales of shoes would be happening through e-commerce platforms than through
एक
traditional.
hit reality आ जाता है ना. While you are going in that flow, you don't want to change. When you stop, the ability to experiment increases. The risk power increases. कि यार अब तो सब कुछ खत्म हो ही चुका है, तो अब रीस्टार्ट ही कर रहे हैं. रीस्टार्ट करते समय हर चीज को ट्राई कर लेते हैं. That's the idea, right? So of course, because of those factors, it was encouraging to see those numbers, and I think we recovered back to pre-COVID levels within 6 months of, like within 4 to 5 months of first wave.
Do you also spend on demand? Yeah. Is it like purely, मतलब you spend on supply? क्या I want the best factories on my platform. Demand अपने आप आता रहता है.
No, of course, we have to spend on demand because retailers को mature करना, retailers को aware करना is another task, right? Because एक retailer जो platform पे आता है, he takes time to get registered and get maturer on the platform. Although the competition was spending enough on demand so that we could leverage that money to use into our scheme of things. So
like
that
they were educating retailers कि आप online खरीद सकते हो, तो therefore it became easier to say हम online player हैं उनकी तरह, तो
बिल्कुल
like
because
awareness and education के लिए they were spending, which you could piggyback on.
Yeah, they were investing a lot in demand and we were investing a lot in supply, but their investment could be of use to us.
Right. Amazing.
So I think and it was not that vice versa because their cost of automate for. So I think from that perspective we were okay. We were clear that okay, but of course we were investing massively in that demand channels as well. And I think after that there were good investors on the table also. Infudge was there, Waterbridge was there, Matrix was there, Sequoia was there. Right. Although I was not used to
Matrix
manage.
Sequoia round was I think $10 million.
Yeah, $10 million, correct.
Okay.
So I think it was the first time we had some money in the bank we could comfortably execute, because in the last 2-3 years, always after 7 to 8 months, we thought we need money and so on and so forth. So we had comfortable cash and I think these COVID waves helped us because, and we didn't lay off any team. We didn't do anything. We don't, because हम लोग बहुत lean चलते थे पहले से. We were almost बहुत capital efficiency पे चलते थे. I think the kind of
you never had that kind of money to do indiscriminate hiring.
Exactly. और जब पैसा आया भी तब भी हमसे खर्च ही नहीं हो पाता था. मतलब हम सोचिए कैसे करेंगे इसको, इतना समझ में नहीं आता कहाँ खर्च करेंगे. So but of course we learned to spend wisely after that. Because it's just not saving. It was actually about investing in the right channels.
Right.
So from that perspective, we learned it. But
what did you invest that $10 million in?
Yeah, I think हमने initially तो बहुत invest करा ही नहीं है. As I said that we were like running in and invest and people, and we understood. And B2B is not a very like यार आप आओ और burn कर दो और आप सिर्फ customer लाते रहो. It's not that game, boss, right? You have to create certain, and we were forming and we were fixing our leaky buckets. We know it's a repeat driven game. We know it's not an acquisition game. आप जितना acquire कर लो, you are just adding more responsibility on you. B2B में acquisition investment है, acquisition नहीं है. So if you acquire a customer in B2B, be it a factory, be it a retailer, be it a brand, so on and so forth, it is a responsibility. It is an investment. It is not a sale factor, right? Because that investment will only give you return after 5 to 6 of transaction after a certain period of time when the customer actually is mature on your platform. So this is not an acquisition game. This is a repeat driven game. And we invested. तो पहले तो हम लोग team बनाने की understanding समझ रहे थे. Although Matrix and Sequoia and all these investors, they have helped us build teams as well. They have understood our requirements. Initially थोड़ा सा वो लोग बोलते थे कि तुम यहाँ से लेकर आओ, तुम pedigree से लोग लेकर आओ, IM से लेकर आओ, IT से लेकर आओ, यहाँ से लेकर आओ. हम लोगों को इंटरव्यू करते थे तो हमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. मैंने कहा भाई ये तो कर ही नहीं पाएगा. तो 2-3 months down the line हमने इन्वेस्टर्स को सबको क्लियर कर दिया कि देखो बस, चाहे हार्वर्ड की डिग्री हो, चाहे IIM की, चाहे किसी की भी, जिसको लोकली समझ में नहीं आएगा प्रोडक्ट और जो लोकली और ग्राउंड पे एग्जीक्यूट नहीं कर सकता इसको, वो हमको नहीं चाहिए. So we are not building to just increase our cosmetic game. हमको वो cosmetic नहीं चाहिए. And we have never been a very PR first company. Like अगर आप देखोगे तो हमारे आपको फंडिंग अनाउंसमेंट्स के अलावा हमारे कोई खास PR मिलेंगे नहीं आपको, right? So we have never been that kind of company, and I don't think that was required for us. Our first phase was into execution, and we were focused on getting our heads down and just executing. And we were trying to build and fixing our growth and talent engine both. कि यार हमारा DNA क्या है? Like after getting 10 million in the account, we didn't invest immediately. We took for 6 months and say कि यार पहले देखते हैं कि DNA क्या है. कौन से लोग, कौन से लीडर्स हमारे साथ काम कर भी सकते हैं. We understood the importance of getting new talent, of course. We understood कि यार now we need people who have done that 1 to 10 or 10 to infinity kind of a journey. But we understood that यार B2B सब कुछ चमकता नहीं है एकदम से. पहले उसको क्योंकि अगर मैं आपको पेटीएम बोलूंगा या जोमेटो बोलूंगा या स्विगी बोलूंगा आपको चमकेगा बिकॉज यू आर यूजिंग दैट प्रोडक्ट, राइट. बट B2B इतनी आसानी से नहीं चमकता बिकॉज ओनली 1% ऑफ ऑडियंस माइट हैव सीन फैक्ट्रीज. काफी लोगों ने तो फैक्ट्रीज, मतलब मोस्ट ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इन इंडिया हैव नॉट इवन सीन फैक्ट्रीज, राइट. तो रिलेटेबिलिटी बहुत टाइम बाद आती है. सो वी अंडरस्टूड दैट देयर आर ओनली सम सेट ऑफ पीपल एंड I was very clear that key in the first round of leadership discussions, whenever we had, I used to understand as well and not just sell. I was always cognizant of this fact कि यार मैं ज़्यादा sell ना कर दूँ because वो glamorous नहीं दिखना चाहिए because वो glamorous है नहीं, frankly. तो वो reality check देना बहुत important होता है, right? And early teams जो हमने बनाई भी थी, I think people who came leaving companies, leaving things, they came with that approach of यार पहले इनको देख लेते हैं. मैं पहले बोलता था यार तुम लोग छुट्टी लेके ना थोड़ा सैटरडे संडे हमारे साथ आ जाओ, थोड़ा सा उनको काम करता हुआ देख लो. हमारे पास कोई रूल्स नहीं है, हमारे पास कोई प्रोसेसेस नहीं है कि हमको आपसे साइन कराएंगे या कुछ करेंगे. आओ हमारे ऑफिस, देखो हम कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, अगर चमकता है तो ज्वाइन करो, राइट. अगर हम आपको पसंद करते हैं, नाउ यू हैव टू कम एंड सी अस एंड सी दैट की कैन यू, मतलब इज आवर DNA मैचिंग. So we the good early senior leaders who join, are today leading the businesses, right? The good few of, I think all people have helped us and then they've joined. Like one of our business leader called Sachin, he was coming from Future Group, SafeX, a good logistic guy. We couldn't handle understand logistics. उसके बाद scale logistics हमको run करना नहीं आता था. And he helped us 1 year. Like I was behind him कि यार आपको join करना है. And in fact, on his marriage, जिस दिन उसकी शादी थी, I was like calling him badly कि नहीं, just you should just come in. You should just come in. And after that, I think after 1 or 2 years of helping us from outside, he joined. And then I think and then today he's leading most of our businesses, our 4 businesses as well and scaling that business. I think बहुत ही raw team को frame करा है और form करा है and अपने DNA को भी form करा है. I think first 6 months we took कि यार this is our talent engine, this is our growth engine, and then we went on to that increasing and getting to know our talent funnel and then making our fun talent funnels after knowing our DNA.
Okay, amazing. So, but this 10 million wouldn't have all gone on talent alone, right? Like you would have used it.
No, of course. In the first 6 months, we didn't invest much. I think हमारे पास पहले का भी थोड़ा सा पैसा पड़ा हुआ था. ऐसा नहीं था कि first बिल्कुल. But the point of view was कि we invested much in getting talent, getting हम एक strong demand को acquire कर सकते थे. तो the major money was getting into demand acquisition, but bottom the line retailers नहीं आ पाते थे, right? तो अब उसके लिए स्ट्रीट और रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर्स चाहिए होते थे ग्राउंड पे बिकॉज B2B में एक्शन ऑफलाइन होना था, ये बात क्लियर थी. मतलब फर्स्ट 5 ऑर्डर्स तक एक बंदे को रिटेलर को समझाना होता था कि यार ऐसे होगा, ऐसे डिस्प्यूट सॉल्व होगा, 5 ऑर्डर्स के बाद रिटेलर खुद मैच्योर होना था ऐप पे. सो फर्स्ट 5 ऑर्डर्स, like for example, if you use any app, you also take as a consumer 5 to 6 orders to just understand how that dispute journey will work and so on and so forth, right? After 5 orders, it doesn't matter. वो सिर्फ एक low touch point of view के लिए है वहाँ पर. Otherwise, it is not much required. So from that perspective, we increased our bandwidth and we had the capacity to invest in create a good feet on streets in the entire India rather than clusters. And we could onboard retailers. So I think most money went in there. The most amount of money went in factory acquisition. And we were now going to clothing expansion as well. So we launched clothing factories, launched clothing retailers. By the second wave, we already did all this, right?
So this clothing would be like, say, salwar kameez and that
sari, salwar kameez, t-shirts, jeans,
basically.
Everything. So, brands were always more from the more perspective of building trust and credibility on the platform, right? So brands come and we used to build their distribution. So that's how it touches the entire journey, right? And after, I think by the second wave, we were able to acquire. Then again the market hit, we went down, and of course that journey kept on till third wave. But as the waves got in, मतलब जब wave खत्म हो जाता था, तो we used to recover sharply.
What does your factory app have in it? What all? How are you helping factory owners?
So, production platform, which is what we are trying to build for the factories, what we have built and largely building. I think the production platform helps the factories in three particular ways. One, it first gives the factory what is the factory's real capacity in a view. Because फैक्ट्री ओनर्स के पास अभी रियल कैपेसिटी व्यू है ही नहीं. अगर आप 4 फैक्ट्री से पूछोगे, मेरे फादर से पूछोगे, वो कहेंगे मैं तो 500 बना सकता हूँ दिन का. बट उनको नहीं पता शायद उनकी फैक्ट्री, द लेबर एंड मशीनरी इज जस्ट ऑप्टिमाइज टू प्रोड्यूस 350 एट अ सर्टेन क्वालिटी रेट, राइट? So first, see, I'll tell you what, the success of the production platform is consistency. The North Star was consistency. If you are a factory owner, and अभी तक फैक्ट्री ओनर्स का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या होता था? टॉप 2%, 3% फैक्ट्रीज जिनके रिलेशनशिप्स अच्छे होते थे मिडिलमैन से, सिर्फ वही साल भर अपनी फैक्ट्री को रन कर पाते थे. बिकॉज देयर इज नो यूनिवर्सल लॉजिक ऑफ हाउ टू गेट अ कंसिस्टेंट कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन. कोई लॉजिक तो है नहीं. जिसका होलसेलर से रिलेशन अच्छा है, उसको पैसा भी मिल जाएगा, उसको डिमांड भी मिल जाएगी और उसको प्रोडक्शन भी मिल जाएगा. Now we wanted to solve that. We wanted to solve that perspective. We thought that this is not right. I think can we create a platform which could give consistent capacity utilization? Or can we create a logic which can give consistent capacity utilization to not just 2 factories, but maybe 200,000 factories over the next 5 years? Can we build that algo? Can we build that logic that it can happen? And we were trying to solve that. So there were 3 things which could solve that. First, we really need to understand, and factory owner need to understand what is the real capability of the factory. Capability means 2 things. What can factory make and how much can factory make? So for example, a slipper factory can't produce sandal, a sandal factory can't produce slipper. But a factory owner can still decide, I want to produce both because of hunger to do more business. But the existing resources doesn't let him do that. He does that suboptimally. To give him a real view, to make manufacturing data driven was a task. And we don't want to do it for large. We wanted to first solve for small tail, long tail of people. We are already solving. Some big brands, large retailers also came on business to source. We said no. We are going small to big. B2B is, I think, the better strategy that we took is going small to big. Today we have 100,000 retailers. Tomorrow, the sourcing platform that we are trying to build on the other end is not just for small, will be for big as well in future. But building from small to first,
this future growth, Big Bazaar could be sourcing their footwear from.
Of course, आज की तारीख में अगर एक फड़ी और एक छोटा सा दुकानदार और ज़ारा में क्या फर्क है? एक ही फर्क है. दुकानदार का इतना लेवरेज नहीं है, ज़ारा का लेवरेज है सप्लाई चेन में. That's it, because उसका वॉल्यूम है, राइट? दोनों बनवा तो फैक्ट्री से रहे हैं. एक रिटेलर अपनी फैक्ट्री नहीं खोल सकता. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, a retail business is different factory, a factory business is different factory, right? Different business. So going small to big will make us learn and will make us more defensible in future, right? First. Second, from the factory side, as I said, solving for operative capability and giving factory a view that and planned. So we will say to a factory owner that कि भाई यार अगर तेरा 100% capacity utilization है, तो मैं 100% नहीं लेना चाहता. We don't want to own factories. We don't want to open a factory. We want to build long tail of factory on a platform and say that we are at a 30% or 20% sweet spot. We're like, we want to get your mind share. We don't want to get your ownership. Right? So, आप अपनी 30% capacity business को दे दो, but 100% data मैं business पे generate already कर रहा हूँ आपकी factory से. There is a good integration of raw material factory which is coming. Because I am building for factory. I'm not building for output factory or input factory. I'm not building for When we are trying to build a production platform, we are planning in a way कि यार क्या ये प्लेटफॉर्म आज जूते की फैक्ट्री और कपड़े की फैक्ट्री के लिए काम कर रहा है, क्या कल को ये मे बी एक कार की फैक्ट्री के लिए काम कर सकता है. Maybe a foolish point to just think about, but a good point and a curious point to think about. Why? Because large factories की efficiency solve करने के लिए, there are big clients and consultancy companies who are trying to solve their problem, but no one is trying to productize the solution for the long tail of factories, which is very important. I'm telling you, next 10 years will be about these factories. It will be about solving these for factories, because B2B में रियल वैल्यू क्रिएशन तभी हो सकता है जब तक इन फैक्ट्रीज की एफिशिएंसीज बढ़ेगी. अब फैक्ट्री की एफिशिएंसी सिर्फ दो ही चीजों से बढ़ती है, या फिर आप एग्जिस्टिंग थ्रूपुट को एफिशिएंट कर दो, या फिर आप incrementally, consistently capacity utilization फैक्ट्री को दो at a lower cost but at a good profit. And that's what the idea was. So can we be a better middleman? Can we be a better middleman who can help factories, who can help brands, and who can help retailers? We don't want to become a retailer. We don't want to go on the demand side. We don't want to become another Amazon, another Flipkart, another Meesho, and so on and so forth. We want, जितने भी रिटेल साइड पे इनोवेशन हो रहा है, उनको सप्लाई तो चाहिए होगा ना फ्यूचर में. फैक्ट्रीज के लिए कोई पार्टनर तो होना चाहिए, एंड दैट बिजनेस वांट्स टू बी. So business wants to be a great B2B company, a large B2B company. That's the idea. And one tricky and one clear solution was create love amongst factories. That's what we're trying to focus on.
What about giving factories access to Amazon, Flipkart? Like, is that in your roadmap?
Yeah, of course. See, it's not about Amazon and Flipkart are platforms. There are retailers sitting on Amazon and Flipkart, first of all, who are selling to consumers.
Resellers. Yeah. Right. Amazon.
आज Amazon, आज अगर आप Amazon पे खरीदते हो, आप Amazon retailer ही तो है, Flipkart में retailer है. There are individual retailers on the platform who are selling on the to consumers.
So
उनको
those
sourcing करने
retailers
source from us.
source from business, right?
Today's-
Got it. Okay.
Today, see, it's an integrated journey. For brands, we don't solve the problem of production. For brand, we solve the problem of distribution. As I said, we take a role of a traditional middleman, Akshay. No rocket science. We compete with that. We head on head compete with that traditional middleman. But the product and the technology leverage that we have, we are trying to create a 10x better product for all the people. B2B is just about these three stakeholders. If you see from 10,000 feet, factories, brands and retailers. चाहे अब retailer चाहे small to big हो, brand छोटे से बड़ा, आज की तारीख में there are so many D2C brands who are coming. I think might be interacting so many of them. They have understood the importance कि यार D2C is just a channel. Omni channel के बिना D2C नहीं बन सकता, brand नहीं बन सकते. इंडिया की अगर लार्ज मार्केट को केटर करना है तो उन रिटेलर्स के पास जाना ही होगा जिनके पास उस रिटेलर के पास कंज्यूमर कंट्रोल है. सो वी आर जनरेटिंग लॉट ऑफ डेटा ऑन ऑल द एंड्स. इनफैक्ट आवर सोर्सिंग प्लेटफॉर्म हु रजिस्टर रिटेलर्स, वो ये डेटा भी लेता है कि यार ये दुकानदार कितनी स्क्वायर फीट का दुकानदार है, बड़ी है, सीजनल दुकानदार है, छोटा दुकानदार है, कौन सी मार्केट में है, GK1 मार्केट में है, सरोजनी नगर मार्केट में है, इस दुकानदार के. तो वी गिव रिटेलर पर्सनलाइज रिकमेंडेशंस कि भाई तू ये बेच बिकेगा, बिकॉज उसको वही कॉन्फिडेंस मिडिलमैन से भी मिलता. तो अगेन सी द बिगेस्ट ऑफ बिजनेसेस हैव बिल्ट फ्रॉम इनसाइट्स एंड वी गो बैक. हम लोग, हमारा कुछ काम नहीं है. हमारी टीम में एक फैक्ट्री ओनर है, एक ब्रांड ओनर है और एक रिटेलर ओनर है. हम लोग ब्रांड में बोलते हैं कुछ लोग दुकानदार के हेड फैल लो, कुछ लोग दुकान चलाना सीखो, कुछ लोग ब्रांड चलाना सीखो और कुछ लोग फैक्ट्री चलाना सीखो. अगर हमारी टीम में वैसे लोग हैं तो हम उनकी नजर से सोच सकते हैं, और अगर हम उनकी नजर से सोच सकते हैं तो हम उनके लिए बेटर प्रोडक्ट बना सकते हैं. बट कुछ भी चीज ऑफिस में बैठ के नहीं होगी. हमको उनकी नजर से सोचना पड़ेगा, हमको उनके जूतों में जाना पड़ेगा, और तब जाके एक बेटर प्रोडक्ट बन सकता है. इट्स नॉट अ शॉर्ट टर्म गेम, इट्स अ लॉन्ग टर्म बेट. But in next 5 to 10 years, we can see something large if we go by this approach.
What's your current GMV?
So right now we are almost on the range of 100 million annually.
Wow, amazing. Okay. And you raised another pretty big round of this $21 million. This is after that COVID round which you did, na? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So after 6 to 7 months, when we, I think we raised almost 30 million from Westbridge. So Westbridge led the round, and of course, existing investors, Matrix, Sequoia, InfoEdge, whatever, all participated. And this was again the round that we did almost an year back. And Westbridge came. It's a large private equity based out of US, and we intentionally wanted to take it from a private equity firm, although we had multiple term sheets that time. But we understood that we want to take a very long term approach, and people who have a very long term profitable DNA approach, we want to go with that. We don't want to. I always adhered. I always been adhered to find कि मुझे उस fundraising चिपाजी में नहीं पड़ना. मुझे बार बार फंड रेज नहीं करना और सिर्फ वैल्यूएशन इंक्रीज के लिए वो मैं नहीं करूंगा इन मेनी वेज राइट our teams our things were clear on that till the time our vision is being run on well. We are taking the way that we really want to build business with, right, a great B2B company, and that fundamentals, I think we want to be on that, and whoever wants to play a long-term game should be a part.
Okay. So like with VCs, typically they have like a 7-year period within which they have to return money. With a private equity, that constraint is not there. So they are more patient investors.
Yeah, they're more patient, and I think to some extent our investors are patient. I mean, I don't think so. There is some there is anxiousness around that. But
Yeah,
yes,
like
I mean,
InfoEdge is also a very patient investor.
Yeah. Structurally, I think it was better for us to take a very long-term view right now because we knew that I think, we are, because if founders and the entire founding team is taking that long-term view, why not? I mean, what is that? What is that a problem? So that's the point.
And this round, you raise the big round so that next couple of years, there is no fundraise pressure which you need to.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, this was an opportunistic fundraise. We never wanted to go in the market because I think 80%, like in fact, 85% of us, 65 to 75 to 80% of our previous money was in the bank. So there was no point of view that but we thought that I think some of our views good. एक तो पार्टनरशिप बहुत अलाइन हो रही थी और दूसरी बात इट इज लाइक यार कोविड we don't know that how many inconsistencies would COVID will create in the future, right? And how many natural circumstances will come can disturb the environment. So let's be on the safer side. If you're getting a good partner, take it, and it will just be a very good safe side for the company. Let's do that. So I think that was the idea.
Okay. So besides footwear and clothes, what other categories do you want to get into?
So in the first phase, we're trying to capture all the categories which are very high movable, जो कि low barrier to entry categories होती हैं, जहाँ पर factories काफी long term scattered में फैली हुई हैं, which is footwear, apparel, accessories, lifestyle, home accessories, fashion accessories, sports, bats, balls. It's the same playbook out there, right? So initially, we want to stick our game to there, and let's see how it runs. Are we able to? There are around 150,000 factories approx across these categories. So in the next 3 years, sort of focus on these. In the next 3-year domain at least. Let's see if we're able to create factory trust, factory love, and the flywheel gets magnified bigger and bigger as you are able to create value. Today, we really can see that we can think 10-year backward. If not 100-year backward, we can really see that we can think 10-year backward. I think we are in a great position to see that we can think 10-year back.
What advice would you like to give to founders on organization building? Because I mean, you started literally as teenagers, right? Like, or like you were just out of your teens when
20 to 23, right?
Yeah. So, and you must have had to learn through a lot of hard lessons. So, what are some of those lessons on building an organization?
Again, there are two perspectives to it. One is from the customer first, and second is from the team. I think when I talk about customer, I think most important is first go back to basics, learn from the customer. I think people say that you have taken 7 years, you have taken so many years, but I really believe that I think it takes a decade to build a good company in India, right? And I think it takes time to create that solution. Our vision has maybe our why might have stayed constant, but our hows and what have changed constantly. They even changed today, which is fine, which is okay, right? And I think one thing which have been our competitive advantage and which we know which will always be that we are damn close to customers. We learn from customer insights day in and day out. As I said, in our team, we clearly say, boss, there will be some retailers, there will be some brands, and there will be some factories. If all of us can run in the team together and we can run those, wear those hats, I think that will be great. We can build that show, right? Being as close to customer as possible. I mean, I think having my father who could just call me each and every night and tell me that, okay, boss, you are fucking up here and you're not. I think that has been a biggest privilege. Having customer closer to me was a biggest privilege, right? Similarly with Sid and Chaitanya and all these people, I think they have also been those backgrounds and early teams. In fact, Shubham, all those early people who have joined in, I think all of them were very, very fond of being close to the customer, and they were also being wired to think like that. So I think that has been, so being closer to customer is most important. Everything is jazz. Everything is just jazz in the first 5 to 7 years. You just don't have to focus on that because it doesn't matter. I mean, I really think that if I've spent few times in marketing events and investor events and in the early days, I think I've just wasted that time. I mean, again, not devaluing the importance of those events, but I really feel that wish I could have spent more time, even more time, which I could with the customers early, right? So I would just, I think, give +1 to that. The second point around org building is people, right? How to build teams and, how to create. I think that has been the most important part. We have never put filters. Because again, as I said, we were not coming from corporates. हमको नहीं पता था कि यार ये फंक्शन कैसे बनता है, ऑर्ग कैसे बनती है. आज भी हम ऑर्ग स्ट्रक्चर हमसे पूछता है कि तुम्हारा कोई पेपर पे ऑर्ग स्ट्रक्चर है, हम कहते हैं भाई हमको पता ही नहीं ऑर्ग स्ट्रक्चर कैसे बनता है. So I think now people are helping us get into that org structure, but we have built teams, given high ownerships to people. People have stakes in the company. All the early teams, most of the early teams have stakes in the company, right? It's not just founders running this show. There are many people who have good heart and soul and blood. I don't say that 100% of our people maybe are very much aligned with that vision. Today we have a big team now, but I really believe if 20% and 30% of our team is really working with that heart, soul and blood, that's a privilege. With I think Sid, who was not coming from a tech background, like today he runs a great engine. Today we have a CTO. We were able to hire a CTO after 7 years of, like, I tried to get a CTO for 6 years. Really, more than an investor, I really hard to try to struggle in an CTO. But in disguise, one thing has happened good. We could never find a CTO in the early years, but we were able to. But Siddharth could become a great technologist because कोई और option बचा ही नहीं. Siddharth को सीखना ही पड़ा सब कुछ. But that could be the biggest. That could be our biggest strength today, right? So today we have a great CTO, of course, but who joined in just almost a few months back. But I think Siddharth, having self-learned everything from engineering to product to everything, and there are some good early people who have helped us, helped that and helped Sid also. I think we were able to create that DNA, which is important to us. I think it's very important to have that kind of reality check that these are the people who will be with you, and these are the people who can build this, right? So we have taken our time. I think last 6 years तो हमारे पास इतने leaders नहीं थे. Last 1 year, 1.5 years, we have got some good leaders. We failed few, got success with few, understood that where we are feeling, where the DNA is matching, where the DNA is not matching. And we were able to find that, okay, these are the people. I mean, people are not wrong, yeah. Situations are wrong. Circumstances are wrong, and that's where marriage doesn't happen, right? So I think from that perspective, we are more clear now. Of course, we are evolving, but get people with high ownerships. Make sure that you are there. They just bent in with your DNA, and we were raw as a DNA. We are not very polished people. Getting to know that, बहुत ही आपको professional run company शायद नहीं लगेंगे हम, but it's fine. I think that rawness leads to a creativity that we have. We want to maintain that. We don't want to ruin that. So, of course, we are getting better because there are certain skills, certain processes which needs to be built in as you scale. But we are, again, I'm being more cognizant of not leaving our rawness and authenticity at all. Build on it, improvise on it, but not leaving that at all. So I think these are the two things which we have really been cognizant of trying to build that.
And that brings us to the end of this conversation. I want to ask you for a favor now. Did you like listening to this show? I'd love to hear your feedback about it. Do you have your own startup ideas? I'd love to hear them. Do you have questions for any of the guests that you heard about in this show? I'd love to get your questions and pass them on to the guests. Write to me at ad@thepodium.in. That's ad